Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies and That. I'm your host Cody, and today we're going to talk a little bit about AMC's FearFest. So AMC's FearFest, for those of you who may not know, it is the cable TV channel AMC. They do a annual horror movie marathon that lasts the entire month of October. So yes, from morning till night, every single day in October, it's just horror movies, nonstop horror movies all day long. And they've been doing it since about 1996. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it is because, with cable TV dying out for the most part, majority of us horror fans especially have a lot of these movies on physical media, or we have, streaming sites where we can watch them at any time, things like that. But I think FearFest is still relevant today, and I don't believe it should go anywhere. I don't want it to go anywhere. So let's talk about it. So for me, the first memory I have of FearFest, should I say, is I want to say I was about maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, but it was on Columbus Day. It was in October. I had the day off from school, and I remember at my parents' house, turning on TV, and I flipped on AMC because I wanted to see what movies were on. I was off at school. AMC was obviously the movie channel like it is today, even back then. Flip it on, and I remember the movie House from 1986 being on, and it was a little weird because I'd never seen it before, so I was intrigued by it, but it was also kind of a little creepy for me at the time. But then I remember seeing the Fear Fest commercials and stuff for it. And I really never caught on thereafter. I was too young at the time to every October we're going to tune into FearFest. But I do remember, just as years went on, as more of I got into horror and all that, I started getting more into watching AMC's FearFest. And I have done that probably every year for the past maybe 10 to 12 years. Every year I've gotten excited, and it's not something I watch every single day or anything like that, but it is a marathon. It is something that I look forward to every October, every time around Halloween. So so that's it. I mean, that's my personal experience with FearFest. That's why I enjoy it, and that's why I'm making this video here today. So the cool thing about FearFest, at least for me, is back when I was getting into horror when I was younger, FearFest for the most part was kind of my first experience into a good amount of horror movies that I'd never seen before, that I'd never cared to watch, that got me into them. And one of the most specific ones here is actually the Freddy, or the Nightmare on Elm Street sequel, specifically 4, 5, and Freddy's Dead. I knew a little bit about. I was a casual Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I knew a little bit about the franchise, but didn't know how many movies there were. And I've only seen the first one, and I think the third one in Freddy vs. Jason. When it came to it, so I remember on FearFest, and I saw Freddy's Dead for the first time on there, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I kind of liked it because it was less scary, it was more goofy and things like that. So my younger self gravitated towards that. But then I remember seeing 4 and 5 on there too, and really getting more into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise because of FearFest. There's been other movies on there that I don't want to say I was introduced to that, but I actually sat down and gave it a chance and ended up becoming a big fan. One of those movies is Candyman, and this was actually not too long ago. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I knew about Candyman. I knew Candyman for a long time from previews on old VHS movies or DVDs or whatever, and just coming up in horror. But I never was interested to watch it. So it was on FearFest a couple years ago. Decided let's give it a shot. I got nothing to do today anyways. Let's sit down and watch this. And I just remember that opening sequence, or the credit sequence there, the opening credits, the music and the shot, how they're going across Chicago, and it just sounded like It sounded scary. It sounded like I was in for a decent movie, and also Clive Barker was in on it, and I like Hellraiser. I knew Hellraiser before Candyman, so that definitely caught my interest. And long story short, watched Candyman and became a big fan of that original Candyman, and I thank that to FearFest for finally opening my eyes on that. Another one is a movie that I got into, and I am a huge fan of it now. About 5 or 6 years ago, that is Christine. That was another one that I knew of, but got when I understood what it was about, a car killing people, I'm like my younger self, my teenage self, and even when I got a little older, I was like, that's not. I don't think that's gonna be a good movie. Like I don't know. Like not a fan. Don't think I'm gonna be a fan. Well, on Fear Fest, and same thing with Gaming. I was like, you know what? I got some time. Let's sit down and watch this. And it's got to be John Carpenter because he knows how to direct a movie, shoot a movie, make it look awesome, add in a great score to it to kind of tie it all together. And I've become a huge fan. Christine is one of my top 5 Carpenter films out there. It's something that I look forward to watching a couple times a year, especially around October and Halloween. So that's it. So that's kind of what my main, I don't want to say argument is, but my main point here is, even though cable TV is dying, even though, you have to deal with commercials and some of these movies might be cut down a little bit, which actually, really, you'd be surprised about how much gore and all that stuff is in these movies that are on TV. Because there's only a couple movies here and there that I know that they cut out some stuff or they're changing some dialogue up. It doesn't really ruin the movie for me. But with that being said, still tune in because, you might end up coming across a movie that you haven't seen before that you might like, right? You might get introduced to it, you might like it, and you can thank FearFest for having that on because you might not have been inclined to go watch it anywhere else. Another one is maybe a movie you haven't seen in years and kind of forgot about because they do a good job of bringing out some pretty old movies like from the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And then who knows, you might be in the mood to just binge watch through the Halloween franchise or the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise or Final Destination, something like that. And because they have a day where they just do those marathons for those specific franchises. And it's also too, it's not like you got to sit down and, watch it the whole time. It's a good thing to have on in the background, pop in from time to time, whether you're cooking dinner, cleaning up the house, whatever it may be. You just have that on the background. Pop in once in a while, listen to it in the background. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do for the most part, especially when it's on, during the week I'm working and stuff. So when I get off of work and cooking dinner, getting things settled for the evening, I have that on the background and I might watch, 20 minutes or so of it, but it's not too often unless it's on the weekends and I'm actually sitting down watching a full movie or maybe later on that night or something. Because that's, for me, when I like to sit down and be fully invested and watch a movie, I like to have it on my physical media, whether it's Blu-ray or DVD, or stream it, of course, and actually sit down and not be distracted by anything, and then that's what I'm doing. I think FearFest is just something to have on casually in the background, and if you have some time to watch it, sit down and watch it. But that's it, guys. That's all I'm saying here is, cable TV is dying. Do not sleep on it, though, especially AMC. They're always playing great movies, and especially around October. All right, they do FearFest. They have all your favorite horror movies on there, sci-fi. And again, you might find something that you haven't seen before that you'll become a fan of, or maybe something you haven't seen in a long time that you forgot about, or just like, oh yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a while, and it's on. Sit down and watch it. So there's always opportunities for that. You can always go on AMC.com, see what the schedule is, what's coming up for that day or the next day or the week, whatever it may be. They have it all on there. So take a look. And it's on all month. It actually started a few days early this year, which I was surprised about, but hey, I'm not going to complain. And it's going to run all the way through Halloween. And I think they even do like November 1st is kind of like a encore of it as well. So that's it, everybody. put down below what your favorite FearFest memories are, what you like watching on FearFest, what movies get you excited for it. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of your day.